We are back for another edition of Bookstore Brew. We had a lot of new listeners. We're going to get to Sunday's episode of Kirkwood and Dunn and read some of your comments. And there's so many comments. I'm not going to be able to read all of them, but we'll get to them at the end of the show. But we're back after 3 weeks of recorded shows that we haven't been able to react to things you said. So we've got plenty to get to. If you don't know what Bookstore Brew is, it's a supplemental show to the Kirkwood and Dunn channel that we do on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Friday mornings, where we review some of the bigger storylines on social media and college football. And so we're going to dive right into that. This morning, you'll see from a comment why I'm drinking from the Kentucky cup, but been to Kentucky's Union in Lexington, got our coffee cup. We're ready to go. Okay, so hopefully you've been keeping up with what everyone has been really worked up about. About halfway through the preseason now in the NFL, and Adam Schefter, an NFL insider, tweets out that Dae'Quan. It's Dae'Quan. I don't know why I even went in a different direction. Dae'Quan Wright of the Browns, tight end, he was drafted, was officially waived by the Browns, and now he is expected to join LSU. He joins a few other guys, Xavier Wright, a few other players at LSU, even on the basketball side, that is looking to take advantage of an LSU injunction that will allow them to play. There was actually a comment on one of our channels asking about a former JMU linebacker. He's now committed to UCLA that was on an NFL roster and a practice squad. First of all, I want to say this is very different than what's happening with Stephen Daley and Kellan Wright. From my understanding, Kellan Wyatt and Stephen Daley never actually declared for the NFL draft. They never, for sure, never signed an NFL contract. They never went to a practice squad. They never did anything like that. So that it's two separate issues. And ironically, they're not eligible still. They have not, as of recording this, put in filed an injunction in an Indiana court or a Texas court or wherever they need to go to be able to play. Once, as we talked about on Sunday, once the federal ban got lifted, they were put in a position to needing to take another step. Cignetti in yesterday's press conference said that Indiana is allowing them to practice and they're in full support of them and their journey to get eligible. So I'm assuming this week we will see some action on that front. But these guys are a little bit different. And they're a little bit different in the terms of that they were playing in preseason games as of last week. They had signed an NFL contract. They were trying to make an NFL roster. The Southeastern Conference put out a statement last night as there was some rumors that there was an emergency meeting of the conference to make sure that they were getting together and protecting college sports and all that, blah, blah, blah. And so everyone's like, okay, this is going to be a showdown between LSU and the SEC. And as of Monday's evening's video conference, this is a statement they put out of the presidents and chancellors of the Southeastern Conference. The conference is issuing the following statement. College athletes, not former professional athletes, have been at the heart of the Southeastern Conference. Individuals who choose to leave college athletics, sign professional playing contracts, and compete professionally should not then be permitted to return to college competition. Allowing that to occur will blur the line between college and professional sports, create significant competitive equity concerns, and reduce opportunities for high school and current college athletes. College sports are for college athletes. The current confusion around national eligibility standards emphasize the need to advance the Protect the Sports Act. Matt Jones of Kentucky Sports Radio put out said what summarizes this statement. This is a statement. They don't say anything in there. They don't say that they're going to fight it. They're not going to be like the Big 12 with Brendan Sorsby and stand up to them, essentially. They are saying right off the bat that it's more political posturing. Tim alluded to this on Sunday's episode that maybe the NCAA wanted this chaos. That Bud Elliott on Cover 3 on Friday's episode for Cover 3 said that maybe this is all put in a position to create massive chaos, because we've talked about the 5-5 rule is happening. They are putting in the 5-5 rule. These players would be eligible if this was the calendar year next time. It was the implementation of the rule, and I've harped on that. The implementation of the rule has been terrible. Like, why would you not make these players eligible for this year when you were going to put it in? You knew lawsuits were gonna happen. You knew this was gonna be a thing, and inevitably, it became a thing. And I understand there are people listening to this podcast who are going to be upset, and you're gonna be upset, and some of the first things you're gonna be is like, "This isn't college sports. This isn't what I grew up to enjoy." Well, to be honest with you, it's not been what you grew up to enjoy for a really long time. Probably since at least since the Bannon the House settlement when Ed O'Bannon's sued for his NIL. Like, it hasn't been the same. And if you are an Indiana slant, an Indiana fan who looks at college football in the way that, like, in your perspective, the sport has never been better because it's never been more accessible. Now, I dare say that I believe Cignetti would have won in any era. I think he would have been in a good position. I think it maybe would have taken him longer, but I think he would have made Indiana competitive. And I won't go I used to be like, well, he probably wouldn't have won a national championship. I will not put those limitations on that man, like what he's been able to do, because that's how incredible what he's been able to do at Indiana in general. But when you look at this and you look at this 5-and-5 rule, and it's already happening, this is a 1-year problem. If you get really worked up about this, this is a 1-year problem. And to be honest with you, if I'm the SEC, I'm putting out a statement like this because what are they gonna do? They're really gonna, like, take a member institution and, like, really go after it when this is not even a problem next year? The SEC, it was leaking out that they were looking at self-governance as an option instead of following the NCAA. Well, first off, the NCAA doesn't control college football in general. If you don't know anything about that, they do control eligibility issues. So if they want to take over their eligibility issues, that's fine. But it's very clear after this statement that was leaked out by likes of Georgia, who's been really outspoken that they want to even break away from the NCAA. There are different avenues or different schools that have talked like this, and that's leaking out. And then they come out, there's no bite because I'm sure they got on this teleconference and they're like, guys. This is a 1-year thing. It does not matter. It does not matter. And I want to put this in higher education perspective. This is how I think of this because this does not bother me. I do not care that these NFL players who have been drafted on practice squads, on preseason, are leaving and coming back. I do not foresee, now this is famous last words, I do not foresee after week 4 a player getting cut or a player leaving a practice squad and coming back. I think there are some concerns about that when it comes to getting them eligible for because they theoretically still have to be a college student. I think there are some concerns about that. But I'll tell you what, if I was a fringe player in the NFL who would be eligible in this 5th-year rule, I might be taking online classes at whatever institution I'm at. But neither here nor there. Well, I look at this as like literally the player. Well, first of all, the player, and this is what the courts are saying, the player did not know that this was going to be a thing, that they were at a competitive disadvantage because when they left and they would have had an extra year of eligibility and they had been told by the NCAA that their 4 years was up, and then the NCAA gives them another or changes the rule and gives this other year, they're basically saying, the courts are basically saying that's inequity, the unfair labor practices. You cost this person a chance at making an opportunity to make more money. And so they declared for the NFL because they thought they were done. They couldn't operate in this space anymore. And because implementation of your rule is so dumb, they should be allowed to come back. And that's what the courts are injunction. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I used to work with college students. For those of you who don't know, I worked at IU. That's how I got connected to IU. I fell in love with IU. College students all the time would go take internships and paid internships. And what was the number one thing that they wanted from their paid internship? They wanted an offer. They wanted a job. And to be honest with you, you might be like, well, Trent, that's the sophomore and junior year. They haven't graduated yet. These guys theoretically have graduated. They've done this. This is different. But a lot of college students go get paid internships after they graduate because they didn't get a full-time offer when they were in school. They go get paid internships to get experience, hoping that it would be a paid full-time offer. And guess what? A lot of times it doesn't come. It doesn't come. It's a tough market out there. And what do a lot of them do? They come back to school. They go to grad school. There's fifth-year options. A lot of times it's like a one-year accelerated master program because they want to just, hey, I'm already in town. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I look at it from that prism. I look at it from a college athlete whose job and career is to eventually get into the NFL. They've gone to a practice squad. They've gone and they're working in that space. And then they realize they're not getting the full-time offer. They're not making the 53. They're not doing all this stuff. And they can go back to school for one more year to be ready to go to the pros, to get the full-time offer next year. That's how I look at it. And to be honest with you, that's how the courts look at it. College athletes, student athletes who are unpaid and don't collectively bargain should be treated just like any other student because they're just because it's $1 billion industry and just because a bunch of administrators and coaches make a ton of money shouldn't be a disadvantage for these athletes to have the same type of thing. And that's why you collectively bargain. The NCAA and the colleges could fix all this. Okay. What's next? Let's go with something a little bit more fun. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree. I'll review tomorrow. All right. This came out yesterday.
He's pretty good.
He is.
We could use him.
Coach, I always wondered what you wrote on those cards.
I'm banking on you.
Merchants Bank, an official partner of IU Athletics. HopOnOver.com.
So, you a transfer or a hop on?
It's so weird. I get this is a local bank or in Indianapolis, but it's just so weird to see Indiana football featured so prominently in commercials. And that's a commercial for Merchants Bank if you're listening on audio. That they're released, and I'm sure you're going to see it on TV a lot. Russell, one of the guys out in LA that was messaging me about the Merchants seeing if I saw it, he said that I can't wait to see the Allstate commercial. Well, buddy, buckle in because you're going to see the Allstate commercial for 16 straight weeks with Cignetti, which is going to be awesome. I'm very excited. But it's very cool to see that commercial and just that production level and stuff like that for Indiana football. It was the thing that when I went back to Bloomington in April, it was the thing that really shocked me was that the amount of ads and stuff that were featuring Indiana and that focus. It was very cool. Okay, this came across my timeline. I think someone sent it to me. I apologize if I'm not giving you credit. CFB Chuck, who's big on TikTok. If you enjoyed the Sam interview, Sam and him are pretty good friends. I have not watched this fully, so I'll react to it as I see it.
If you're ranking Indiana football outside of your top 5, I think you are clinically insane. I put them at number 4, and I kind of feel concerned that they're too low. I see so many helmet scouts saying things like, we could pick off IU this year if we get one of the big dogs. I think they'll regress majorly. They don't have any more super seniors. I don't think you're paying attention. If we were to play a little game of better or worse, I think they might be worse at tight end. I don't think they've got D'Angelo Pons out at cornerback 1. They might be a little worse as strong safety. And then you're obviously looking at quarterback and Josh Hoover. You hope. Anytime that Kurt Cignetti gets asked about Josh Hoover, what they've got at quarterback, how he's looked in practice, he just gives us a little smirk and he says, we've got exactly what we need at quarterback. Is that not concerning to you? I thought that truly the best unit on this Indiana team was the defensive line last year. And off the top of your head, can you tell me who they lost after this 5-for-5 rule went through? Can you tell me who they gained out of the transfer portal? Because they've got some good players. This defense is loaded. By the way, I've not even mentioned the fact that their 2 linebackers are both preseason All-Americans, and they absolutely deserve it. They're returning 4 out of 5 starters on their offensive line, and the 5th guy is Joe Bruner, coming in from Wisconsin as an All-Big Ten player. I absolutely love their running back room. I think they are really, really good. Oh, they lost Elijah Surratt. Okay, yes, but they brought in Nick Martian. In case you forgot, young guys can be good too, and he is really good. All I'm telling you is that Indiana's roster overall is better than it was last year. And yes, we got to wait and see what quarterback is going to look like, because Fernando Mendoza was great. But if you're fading this team, you better be dang sure that Josh Hoover cannot throw an RPO and he cannot throw a back shoulder fade. If you're ranking...
Yeah, I mean, it's stuff that we say on the podcast all the time. And for those in the comments that do it is, I think in Wednesday's episode, Tim and I are going to try to rank each position group in the Cignetti era, 1 through 3, and look at this team. And I suspect we're going to come across that most teams are most units in this year is going to rank number 1, which is just insane. Kara sent me this, one of our listeners, and I think she's trying to get me in trouble. Can you name the top 10 teams in terms of most arrests? Okay, let's see if I can get this right. I'm gonna change my playback speed so that we can just get through this quickly. Okay, I'm going to say Florida, because they're on the graphic that you can see here. So I'm gonna say this is all since 2000. I'm gonna say Florida. I'm gonna say Florida State. I'm gonna say Miami. We know the Florida schools have had trouble with the rest. I'm gonna say Georgia. We know about their issues lately. Ohio State has had a sneaky amount of arrests. Michigan, it's probably going to be some outlier school like Virginia Tech or something. I'm going to say Texas A&M, Auburn. Yes, I'm thinking definitely Southeastern schools, and Oklahoma. All right, let's see if I got these right. All right, most since 2000. Okay. Coming in at number 4, Alabama. Number 6, LSU. I should have remembered LSU. Number 10 was Georgia, which is surprising that they're so low. Moving citations maybe don't count as arrests. Not sure. Number 2, Miami. Okay. Feel good about my Florida picks. 3, Florida State. Yep. Number 1, Florida. Shout out the Panhandle State. Let's see. We're missing 5, 7. 9 is Auburn. All right, got that one. 8 is Tennessee. Is she? Wrong T. Maybe Texas A&M still makes the list. Clemson. That's surprising. And then Ohio State. Okay, so I was pretty good. I think, ironically, there's a lot of teams there that are from the Southeastern Conference since 2000, and maybe that was a correlation. The more arrests you got, the more competitive you were. I was surprised to see Clemson there. With Dabo? You serious? You're doing that with Dabo Sweeney? He's going to pray so hard for you? Okay, let's get into your comments. Let's kind of go in chronological order from the things that I haven't done. And again, there's a lot of comments. I want to react to them. If I miss some of your comments, I apologize. This was last Tuesday's episode, the 3 biggest surprises episode, where I asked you about your biggest surprise. His big swing. Okay, Joe, I'm seeing the possibility of 3 1,000-yard running backs from IU this year. That would be insane. Joe, that would be insane. And 3 receivers with 1,000 yards. Joe, how many points do you think we're scoring? Hey, that's why we call it big swing, Joe. That's why we call it big swing. This was very funny from, I think, a player GM. Just going to correct the grammar on the top 25 video because it was otherwise bothering me. Gaslighted should be gaslit. Yeah. I said in the comment back that it was like, for me, it was like writing on a whiteboard, because I was typing. If you remember on that episode, I was tweeting out and then I was typing at the exact same time. And so I was like, I think it's gaslit, but I don't want to. So I went gaslighted, and that's grammatically incorrect. So good call on that one. Let's jump over to college football with Sam's video. Really awesome from Sam to do this for me. Sam's a big deal. He's a big deal, and I hope you liked it because it was really cool. It was very cool to talk to him about what behind the scenes. Like there was stuff I didn't know, which is pretty cool. Check out that video. Didn't you two meet for the first time in Galen spring practice live? If so, I was watching when you two became friends. Thanks, I'm Brad. Brad, it was we had been on a show together. He had interviewed us, Kirkwood and Dunn, but I had never met him in person. You're right. It was kind of weird meeting people that you only see behind screens. I work in a consulting job that's mainly fully remote, and I was going out to LA actually to meet those clients that I do, and it was weird seeing everyone's like neck down. Like you just don't ever see that. I only see this, and they only see this for me. They were making fun of me as I was leaving LA, and I was like, "It was really nice to meet you." And I've like talked to these people every day for like a year, so they were like, "Nice to meet me." It's like, okay, great point, but I just mean like physically meet you. All right, last week's Kirkwood and Dunn episode from a distance. I'm going to ask this in the comments. Hopefully, if some of you that actually listened through the whole episode, I would be interested to know your comments on this. We had to release this Thursday morning because of internet. It was one of our like least listened to shows, which is totally fine. And so I'm wondering if like people really like it on Wednesday night. I'm going to ask this on Wednesday's pod too. Really like it on Wednesday night, or they wouldn't mind me pivoting this to Thursday morning since we do a Wednesday morning Bookstore Brew. And Thursday morning, you can like wake up and listen to it because it's going to be like mostly like talking about the weekend. So like you get Thursday and Friday with it. Be interested to know what you think about that, because that would be very nice for editing purposes and not rushing that out. So let me know in the comments. Trent Hendrick, Chuck Cribbs was the one that asked that. Trent Hendrick, he's now at UCLA. When he asked that, he was still available. Scott Dolson, his employment is written as in terms of Cignetti's contract. He could have gotten completely fleeced IU on the contract. He didn't. He is a good dude. He is. I agree. I'm still hopeful for, I got to read out loud when I'm like reading. I'm still hopeful for our feeder team up north is Frisky. The best thing that can happen this season, not Indiana related, is Wisconsin pushing Notre Dame and Lambeau. Okay, so you're calling, CTO, Wisconsin our feeder team. That's my joke for Michigan State. So I was very confused there for a second. It would be amazing if Wisconsin beat Notre Dame. Okay. I can't read them all because trust me, there's so many from Sunday that I got to get to that. All right, last one with Chris Drew. Chris is the man. Chris hasn't been doing his Signal Lost episode. He was off all last week, and I hated it. Hated every second that he was not putting out episodes. I texted him. I got on the plane to listen, and because I was pretty disconnected last week, I got on the plane to listen. There was no Signal Lost. I was very sad about it. Not a lot of comments on this one. Okay, so Walnut said, I like the Solid Verbal podcast. Chris identified that. It's still a hard time getting over the first IU Oregon game last year that IU didn't have a single player who would start for Oregon. And that's true. I had totally forgotten about that. That's what pissed me off about them as well. You guys either forgot or were sleeping on Mario Cristobal winning national championship. Hard not to with the talent over the next decades. And this guy is a Miami fan. R6. First of all, welcome to the channel. Second of all, I'm so glad you didn't listen to us in January and all last season. I've come around on Mario. People know this. I'm a big Mario hater. It's probably why I didn't mention him. It's going to take a while to break that mold. But I am high on Miami this year. I am. I'm really, really high on Miami. I don't know how I can say being a Mario hater when I think a big duty of the head coach is to find the staff. And he has a great staff. He really does. His in-game decisions suck. They suck. And I can't help but shake that he's going to lose. I think I picked Louisville in one of my episodes last week to win the conference because I can't get out of my head him making brain dead decisions. But the guy is one of the best program builders in college football. One of the best. So welcome to the channel. But just know I might take a shot at Mario Cristobal every once in a while. But just know deep down I know I'm wrong. A lot of us don't think Ohio State's good enough to beat IU in Bloomington. This was a theme. There was a couple of comments because Tim said that Indiana was going to win the Big Ten. He's like, and we most likely will lose to Ohio State, or I could see us still losing to Ohio State. People are like, stop being negative. Like, what? It's okay to. Indiana last year could have lost to Ohio State. Indiana last year, I still don't believe we were on the ropes against Miami, as people have said. But they could have lost that game. We didn't play our best. We played our worst game. One of our worst games. We could have lost Penn State and Iowa. You can be a great team. You can be a national championship level team and lose games. It is possible. It is possible. So Ohio State's good enough to beat us at home. If we don't play our best and they play well, they're going to win because they've got that type of talent. If we played our best and they played their best, I think Indiana, because the home field advantage, is going to win. But we could still play bad. It's possible. I know. Sacrilegious. Can't say that. Can't say that stuff anymore. Okay, so let's talk about the Saban episode. I just want to say this about the Saban episode. If you want to get clicks, this was our most listened to episode ever, by the way. You know, we were celebrating 1,000 listeners about 2 weeks ago for an episode. And we were very excited about that. This hit 2,000 listeners, and it's not even Wednesday. Like, this is an insane amount of people listening to this episode. So there has been all over the board mixed reactions to this. So I had to talk about it. I have to spend some time on it. I know these are supposed to be 30 minutes. This is going to be a little bit longer. I can't read all these comments. There's so many. So I'm going to start with, we got an Apple, and I need to make sure I say this on Wednesday because we tell you guys, if you rate us on Apple Podcasts and leave a review, we're going to read it on our channel. This is a good spot for me to read it. But we got 5-star by 5D or Bust. Thank you. 5-star ratings. We will read those. Saban versus Zig. Okay, so when are the talking heads going to talk about the fact that Saban never admits to having worked under Frank Cignetti? I think it is interesting. He doesn't ever really mention that. Like, he doesn't. I think he's probably said it. I've heard him say it once. I'm pretty sure. There's a bigger story here. If I'm Saban or Coach, sorry, that I didn't realize I was going to click up. If I'm Saban and Coach had been in my stable of coaches, moved on to accomplish what Cignetti has, I'd be busting at the seams with the accolades and support. I agree. This is the root of what I'm talking about too. He does this for other guys. There's a bigger story here. Saban is hiding something, or whoever is writing the script. NCAA offices, the SEC office, or the Big Ten office wants this drama. I don't think it's I think Saban is his own dude. I don't think it's I said on the podcast, and I know it was probably like 70-30. I mean, we have Indiana fans that listen to our podcast. So a lot of them are going to agree with my arguments if you didn't listen to the pod where I took up. Speaking of Chris is, I think, on X too. So like I've seen Chris's name pop up. Thank you, Chris, for commenting on Spotify. This made me laugh. Saban is clearly a hater. 1,000,000%. Can't believe Trent is taking up for him. I know that like our voices we're not famous enough, and you'll see this on this other comments that people don't know who we are because we're not Pardon My Take. Go check out the Pardon My Take book review that I did yesterday. People don't know we're not big personalities, so people are discovering us for the first time, and especially if you're just an audio listener, like maybe Chris is just listening on audio, you don't know the distinction between our voices. Between Tim and Trent, maybe we need to refer to ourselves more. But I couldn't let that slide. I couldn't let the internet. The Spotify never gets comments. So that means this is going to sit out here in full view of everybody for a while, Chris. And I couldn't let it slide. So I said, because Trent controls social media accounts, let me correct the record. Tim was taking up for Saban. Trent was saying Saban was jealous. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Shout out, Chris. That was funny. Tyler, who also listens to our show, has done that before too. just like the voices or people's voice and the stuff, or he didn't know who was commenting or whatever. We'll get there. You guys will get to know us. That's who we are. Trent does Bookstore Brew and hosts the show. Tim is the hot take artist on Kirkwood and Dunn, and he co-hosts the show, obviously, but obviously he's more of the guy I set up during this whole thing. All right, so 89 comments. 89 comments. I can't get them all, but we're gonna scroll through this. I don't think Saban's calling Cristobal a used car salesman's a compliment. It is, because he's talking about his recruiting and stuff like that. But that wasn't the point of the clip. I don't care that Cristobal was in there. I know I said like he's complimenting Cristobal in the clip. He is talking about how like persuasive he is. He's being complimentary. He doesn't give Sig a benefit of the doubt on those type of things. You have to be blind not to recognize the animosity towards Saban and Cignetti. Saban's not doing this unnatural. It's only natural. Saban's not doing that. It's unnatural. Yeah, he doesn't give him credit. Exactly. Play now, Saban didn't think Sig was a fit for head coach, even OC. Sig was pissed. He was being elevated and screw you. I'll prove myself one IUP. Sig proved Saban wrong. Saban hates it. Yeah, I do agree that that's probably just at the root of it. Chris, shout out. They did ruin high school basketball and football. Need the Indiana High School Athletic Association to have an overhaul and fix all that. Agree, 6% didn't want competition. I don't know. I don't think it's so much as that jealousy. Like he was like worried about like I'm gonna keep him down for there. And I get how my argument kind of came across like that. It was more of like it was the doubting. Like he didn't think he was that good. Saban truly feels he's above the rest, does not like the idea he was the best coach now. Cignetti's the best coach, kind of the same thing that the other guy was talking about. You're absolutely correct about Saban on Cignetti. He sandbagged him anytime a team called about Sig for years. Saban had beef ever since Sig left Alabama to get a head coaching job. We actually didn't talk about that. Jeweler 805, which I think is fascinating, is like Saban could have helped Sig get back into D1 head coaching at times. And it didn't happen. And I don't know why. Why is this guy such an SEC homer? I had to read this comment because, and I can't believe that Saban major issue and can't believe Rasheed that made. First time in Tim's life that he's ever been called an SEC homer. I have to bring that up on Kirkwood and Dunn on Wednesday. There's definitely an issue with Saban's perspective. The Kent State job was used as an example. I think this may be the first episode where I've agreed. See, this is why it was crazy. Like you guys took both stances, which is why this episode did well, because we actually argued two sides, which we believed. It wasn't made up. It wasn't fabricated. With Tim on every take down to the Iowa 11-1 take. Honestly, I also believe Sig would not be nearly the same coach. I think that is just because Saban's grumpy and I believe a little jealous of Sig or like putting Sig down by omission, I think Sig's path helped him be a better coach. So, we all get there. It's definitely jealousy. Good stuff, fellas. Saban's total SEC shill. I had a third grade teacher in 88, an old white woman, intentionally marking F's on all my segments because people do weird things. Saban definitely has an issue with Cignetti. I do. The black guy in the black shirt is naive. This is where I'm talking about like people don't know who we are. So it was kind of funny. I was wearing a white shirt. He was wearing a black shirt. So we had like contrasting things. We really set up that episode. There's a reason why this episode's doing very well. We set up that episode really well. He held him back. Saban's part of the Frank Cignetti coaching tree. In Saban's opinion, Cignetti is lower on the scale than his former Alabama assistants. Quite possibly. So this person is disagreeing with my jealousy statement, but I think he does view him. I think you're agreeing that he views him less than Kirby Smart. Believe there's a problem between the two. You can then nothing. I think you can pick that up off of both in interviews when they were on the same shows last year. Yeah, it was kind of uncomfortable. There's no way Saban can accomplish what Cignetti did at Indiana. That's what one of the main things when people like this happened on other social media accounts of people like, there's no way Saban's won 7 national championships. There's no way he's jealous of Cignetti. Okay, sure. It's not about the success, but I do think there is some element of like, yeah, he didn't do in the Big Ten at Michigan State, a very similar school in terms of stature of Indiana. And that's kind of disrespectful of Michigan State in terms of their college football history. But he didn't do what Cignetti did. He had to go get the best players. Really obnoxious. Saban takes shots at Cignetti. If you don't see it, you're blind. You're blind, Tim. It's really weird. 100% correct. Got to read those. I watched this SEC report. Is this about the transfer one, Joe? You got to let me know because I would just watch that one. Is embarrassed. Please, the debate is unnecessary. Nor Saban, stay humble and hungry. Tony, this is a podcast. This is what we do. We talk about subjects that we don't normally talk about. Those that stay humble and hungry. What? I don't need to stay humble. Who cares? I'm a fan. We'll never I've never. We got this so much last year. Stay humble. Why? The best damn coach in college football. Why am I staying humble? I do not care. Am I trying to protect from my downfall? Something happened. Sorry, Saban's jealous or something. Saban couldn't win the Big Ten. Yeah, Brad. Exactly. Sleeper team, Wisconsin. Yes, Joe. Let's do this. I think there are too much of Sig being the Sig's coach's trees more than his dad's or Bobby Bowden, both of whom are Hall of Fame. I actually think there's a lot of truth to this, that we all just say Saban because he is the greatest of all time. But Sig coached for so many coaches. The resentment goes both ways. I don't think Sig is I love Alabama and Nick Saban, and Nick Saban doesn't like me. I agree with that. All right, William. I'm a Kentucky fan, but I listen to all these shows. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I've adopted Indiana as my second favorite team because of Cignetti. A lot of people will hate on you for this, William. And you know what? You do you. Cignetti is the man. And this is, there's a lot of basketball fans in our fan base that will just absolutely be disgusted by this. But they went on to talk about the bourbon barrel. I agree. Bring back the bourbon barrel. We need that rivalry back. Tim sounds like Charlie Day when he's one of his conspiracy theories that get worked up. This cracked me up. By the way, we call in our family, Marissa and I, we call Tim Nick Miller from New Girl. If you ever watch New Girl, Nick Miller is Tim. Their voice, their cadence, they're from the region. And they also, Tim has his life way more together than Nick Miller. But for a long time, Tim struggled to find love. So, it was also very funny. So, he does fit that stereotype. Actually, in a wedding that day of the Ohio State, I think you should. Here's my theory. He's deciding to either get an actual food poisoning or just faking my own death. I thought about. I had to go to my brother-in-law's wedding 3 years. It was the only home game I missed as a season ticket holder, and I thought about. Having a temporary separation from my wife. So maybe you should have a temporary friendship separation, in a fight, pick a fight and then come back an apology. I don't know. Just some thoughts. I didn't end up doing it. I went to the wedding. I love my wife. I would never do that. Some of these are a little long. The guy in the black chair is so annoying. Everybody I've watched. A jerk. Your podcast would be better without him. Well, I disagree with that. You can listen to Bookstore Brew. Tim's not on here. We just talk and make fun of Tim. Our podcast is not for everybody. We'll get to that also here in a second. Who is the lad in the black shirt? Made this one and Dunn listen for me. That was funny. I laughed hard at that. I liked it even. I'm doing Sir Circuit Church. Tim's sudden profanity outburst was really nice. Just throwing that out there. I get the point of view, but I don't need the profanity, in my honest opinion. Matt, I am sorry that happened to you. I will. Our podcast, one of the things that we pretty unfiltered. It's supposed to be we're talking at a bar. And I know church people don't like going to the bars because people are rowdy there. And we'll be a little rowdy, especially when I get Tim worked up like that. We try our best. We used to be really a lot worse, but we do understand that sometimes you're listening in public places or in a car, and you don't want that. I bleeped one episode and I got more texts about bleeping curse words than I do for actually cursing in episodes. People are like, why are you bleeping? It's like, all right. Tim trying to tie himself in pretzels is offensive. I was actually very surprised that he took that path. I thought I was going to come in, everyone was going to agree. This one was interesting, probably because Kurt spelled it wrong. Wins one national championship with a bunch of 24-year-old men. And he acts like he's the GOAT. I'm surprised more people didn't like rip, I'm guessing her or him. I don't know. Ohio State will lose 3 games. Keith, from your typing to the football god's ears. Nick, it's really hot outside today. Indiana fan base. Nick has a problem with Kurt in Indiana's weather. I love Alabama fans. They're so dumb. I made 10 minutes, couldn't hear the guy blather on about it on an issue. I think that's towards me. This is what I'm saying. It was actually very, very, very like split on people agreeing, which is what made it good. Thank you for not mentioning how good the Oregon D-line is and the production they returned. Oregon was number 50 last year for sacks, and IU was number 2. What is the myth of the Oregon line that is circulating? It's all NFL projections. Those 4 are considered like top 2 rounds draft picks, and that's what it is. But I agree with you. It's like Nebraska. They have the most returning production in college football. Yeah, return production stunk. So, good call. Hey, there's a lot of comments on there. I know I read through those, and if you're an audio listener, you're catching those. You're watching on video. Subscribe to our channel. We're so close to 1,000. Like this episode, like ballooned our subscriber count on YouTube. So make sure that you're subscribing if you get the opportunity. Comment on here. Let me know your thoughts on especially the players coming back to the NFL. It's going to be a great week. We're so close. It is week 0. It is week 0. We have college football on Saturday to talk about, but keep listening, keep reacting. We love it. Even if sometimes you don't like what I say, sometimes you don't like what Tim says. Like that's the point of the show. Hopefully you come back because that's what Tim and I do is we just argue about the dumbest thing in trivial matters because that's college football. That's what makes it the best sport on the planet. Good morning, everybody.
Hut, fight.